James Comey back in a hot seat. The FBI Director returned to the Hill today to testify before the Senate Judicial Committee, warning the threat to the homeland is as high as ever. Roll tape.
The central challenge is not just finding needles in a nationwide haystack, but trying to figure out which pieces of hay might become a needle.
Do you agree with me that ISIL loses the caliphate, these people will go out throughout the world and become terrorist agents, and the threat of terrorism to the homeland is going to get greater over time, not smaller?
Yes.
So from a funding point of view, terrorism is not going to get better. It's probably going to get worse. I
think that's fair to say.
Joining me now, Mike Baker. Mike, it worries him. In fact, it's scary stuff there because it's apparently the more we win, particularly in the Middle Eastern battlefields, the harder it's going to become for us to live here at home.
Well, that's correct. I do like how the senator asked if the director, if he agreed with him in the idea that as we take back that turf in Syria and Iraq, they'll spread out around the world. Of course, the director agrees with him. The director's been talking about that for, well before the most recent presidential election. But it's absolutely true, and he's been raising this alarm for the past several weeks. And it really hasn't gotten much traction because of all the other events, particularly North Korea and obviously ongoing Russian investigations. So it really hasn't gotten the attention. It's important that you're talking about this now, particularly also in light of the renewal of the State Department travel advisory for U.S. persons traveling to Europe this summer.
Mike, when you say will spread, I got the impression that it's already in place, that these so-called sleeper cells are ready to go in. And when it appears that, okay, the caliphate is dead, all is lost, Raqqa has fallen, and so forth, that they will unleash, without any direct order, but they themselves will unleash what they've been planning.
You're absolutely right. And look, this has been going on for some time now. It's become gradually more and more difficult for potential ISIS fighters to travel to the fight in Syria and Iraq. And that's been going on for, frankly, a couple of years now. And so as a result of that, they've been doing more and more of the homegrown effort. And that's where we've seen now for a while where we had this call from ISIS and from other extremist elements to say, look, don't come here to the fight, in part because it's difficult to get you here and train you up here on the battlefield, but stay where you are. Take the fight to them, wherever you happen to be. And Director Comey alluded to the difficulties that the Bureau has, and also our local and state authorities here in the U.S. by talking about this needle in a haystack idea and understanding, what part of the hay is going to become a needle. The Bureau is stretched very, very thin right now. With the number of active investigations that they've got going on across this country, if people understood how much work goes on behind the scenes to prevent or minimize or disrupt these operations, a lot of people wouldn't sleep particularly well at night.
Well, Mike, real quick before I let you go, when I saw that attack, when we all witnessed that attack on the eve of the first round of elections in France, you had to believe that ISIS understood that attack would help the candidate who's been talking the most there about taking them out. Are they eager for this final showdown of sorts?
Well, I don't know if they're eager. I think there's some reality there within ISIS leadership, particularly out in Syria and Iraq, that their days are numbered in terms of the idea that they will hold a caliphate, that they'll grow that caliphate. I mean, that's coming tumbling down, and with further effort, and it's not easy. I don't want to minimize how difficult this lift is. We will take this problem away from them there in the Middle East. But again, they're eager in a sense. The extremists, the jihadists, however you want to refer to them, they're always eager for a fight. They're always eager for chaos. That hasn't changed in years and years and years. So, again, as long as people are pragmatic and understand what it means, we have to defeat them on the ground out there.
Right.
But we have to also understand that's not the end of this war. This thing is going to go on long past you and me, Charles.